Hey folks, it's us, podcasting wonderkins John Bishop and Lucas Southworth.
Although this is a podcast about cars, it is not age appropriate for the target demographic of these films, as we usually end up talking about the reproductive organs of Lightning McQueen.
Alright, now let's take a look under the hood. Welcome to the Ka-Chat, the comedy podcast that revs up your engines and puts a hilarious spin on the world of Pixar's Cars movies. Join your hosts, John Bishop and Lucas Southworth, as they take you on a wild ride through the whimsical world of Lightning McQueen, Mater, and all their automotive friends.
Each week, John and Lucas will explore the latest news and rumors surrounding the Cars franchise, offer their own unique perspectives on the beloved characters and storylines, and dish out some seriously funny commentary on everything from the latest merch to the most absurd fan theories.
Whether you're a die-hard fan of the Cars movies or just looking for a good laugh, the Ka-Chat is the podcast for you. So buckle up, hit the gas, and get ready to laugh your way through every episode of this zany and hilarious show. Hey, it's what's up with Cars?
What's up with Cars?
What is up with Cars? But this week it's more like, hey, what's up with AI? Am I right? Have y'all been reading the news?
Mm-hmm. And
It's crazy.
Just to immediately connect everything, I mean, what if Cars is AI?
What if Cars is AI? That's a good question, but first an answer. Yeah, that was a intro dreamed up to us by ChatGPT from the prompt. Write an intro for a comedy podcast called The Ka-Chat about the Cars movies made by Pixar that is hosted by John Bishop and Lucas Southworth. And
All
gotta
right.
say, it didn't quite match our general vibe, but how could it know our general vibe from that? Otherwise, pretty well done.
Yeah, almost too genuine.
Yeah, like I tried to read it in a way that really hit some of like the cliches in it, but it made some good Cars puns in it, which I wasn't ready for.
Yeah. You may hear my stifled laughter.
Yeah. I was ready for it to do a very good, like a good general job of this is kind of what a podcast intro sounds like, but it being able to say, buckle up, hit the gas was really good. Wild ride, rev up, revs your engines, all pretty good.
Now,
But ours
here is
perfect.
a weird problem I've had with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
In trying to make an episode of this podcast, my thought was, okay, sometimes Lucas and I are busy. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's both. So what if I could just have ChatGPT write us an entire episode? And Lucas, I've discovered something.
Yeah.
When you're at a place of business, I'm not going to say it was mine,
Sure.
and you just want a quick and dirty script, you may run into some issues of limitations such as, oh, well, I can't just be, I guess, letting this all populate on my screen for a very long time. So I only got 500 words of any script that I tried to make, which, as you may well know, is not an hour long of speaking unless you do it real slow.
That's fair. I mean, John, we could just scrap everything that we've already done and just do exactly that. Do it all very, very slow. Release that and mention nothing about AI in it.
Sure. I have, of course, Well, the Ka-Chat has received an email from someone, who knows,
Sure.
uh, and it is in fact a script for Cars 4.
That's true. Someone has been kind enough to, on their work account, send an email to the chat detailing that they threw the idea of a script for Cars 4 into Chat GPT, and they sent us the transcript. And I gotta say, John, I have not read it.
That's
Would have
fair.
been a good thing to do before we started recording, but I did not.
Uh, some quick highlights.
Yeah,
Uh, I tried, well, someone tried to uh, not incriminate themselves for time theft, even if it was on their lunch. Um, Inappropriate use of company resources and this and that and the other. But let's just say I have a strong inkling that whoever did this had an idea and they're like, hey, write Cars 4. And then they tried that and it only gave them like 500 words, which is not an entire 2-hour film.
true.
So then they were like, hey, do it again, but longer. And then the response wasn't longer. Uh, it was
That's
weird. I
fascinating.
kept getting issues like that of it was never actually longer and it wasn't counting the words, even though it is able to count. So basically, it's a story that's very short and for some reason involves aliens.
Oh man, I really
Uh,
should have read this.
Lightning McQueen is visited while in Radiator Springs, and someone's like, "Hey, there's a interplanetary race, and I'm gonna beat you, Mister McQueen. My name's Blue."
Yeah, I have found Blue in my
Yeah.
scrolling because I think the reason I didn't read it, John, is I did read the first page, and it seems mostly about Luigi having a tire sale.
Which makes sense. If you're writing an entire movie, you'd imagine that there's going to be a lot of pages, and one of those pages would be something like that to just get everyone started slow and easy. But the problem is that if you run into this situation and you only have 500 words, you don't want to waste 200 of them on a tire sale.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. I don't know, man. Are we just gonna read this thing? What was your general plan, or just give the highlights? What is your idea here?
My initial idea was, of course, to make the script and then just read it. One of us read it, and then if ever we run out of episodes, we can release one of those. Uh,
That's fair enough, I guess.
my secondary idea was, well, this is clearly not an hour long. So how
Yeah.
about I just send it to Lucas and figure it out from there?
Oh, I see. I see. It does seem to be a bit of a rehash of Cars 3 at times. But then the aliens come, and then it's very much not. Because there is a character named Turbo who seems to be basically Jackson Storm.
Okay,
Uh,
so one thing that really confused me is that I read that and I thought, like, for sure it was just the snail.
I did too for a second, but I did go back and check when they were introduced, and they were described as a high tech, sleek car.
Okay.
Because I guess when you do a podcast about cars for about 150 episodes or whatever we've done, you start to just assume that everyone thinks about the Cars movies the way you think about the Cars movies,
Mm-hmm.
and assume that the snail turbo uh, is in everyone's mind just an ancient ancestor of the Cars or something.
Yep. And boy howdy, every time I think that, I'm proven half right whenever there's some sort of example. Because people will find out I've got a podcast about Disney Pixar's Cars. And then they'll ask
Yeah.
all the questions that you immediately think of. And then they'll get to one that's like, okay, but that's about it. And this happened yet again when I was watching the latest Some More News. And
Mm.
boy howdy, it he started getting really on a tangent about cars. And like most of them, like, yeah, we've talked about that. We talked about that. Oh, well, I guess we haven't talked about specifically that, but pretty much. And that was it.
I mean, it was the basic concept for our podcast was popular as like an internet talking point for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what that internet talking point is what inspired the podcast. We didn't come up with this whole cloth. We saw the post that was like, "Hey, World War II happened in cars," and we went, "What?" and went from there.
Yep.
But ooh, I like the final four lines of it because they're very stupid. Can I read them?
Please do.
So they defeat some aliens or something. I don't really know. And Mater says, "We did it. We saved the world." Lightning replies, "No, we did it together." Blue, who is an alien, maybe? I didn't read the script that close, says, "That's what friends are for." And Sally replies, "And that's what the Piston Cup is all about." The cars look up at the sky, feeling grateful for their friendship and their victory. Fade to black. The end. Pretty
We
solid.
did
Pretty
it.
solid.
No, we did it together. Except there's no sort of indication that it's supposed to be read that way. He is, in fact, correcting Mater, saying, no, we did it together. Which I don't know why that's bothering me as much as it is, but it's just like, oh, no, no.
I mean, the thing that one is funny, but I very much like the implication that a friends are for saving the world. Which I mean,
Mm-hmm.
sure, in this kind of movie, I could see a character saying that, and me thinking about it, being like, "No, that doesn't make any sense." But I very much enjoyed the direct assertion from Sally that the Piston Cup is all about saving the world from aliens
With your friends.
with your friends. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
of course. Good stuff. So, John, do you want to spend more time on this script, or do you want me to tell you the 20 prompts I had ChatGPT give us for episode ideas?
That one.
Okay,
And
great.
then as special
Uh,
bonus content for whenever we reach our goal for oh shoot, I can't even think of the name of the thing that I've heard 1,000 times this week.
the
Uh,
Max Fun Drive?
maximum fun, yeah, max fun drive.
It's so
We reach
important,
our
you know, that
stretch
we're not a
goals.
part of the Maximum Fun Network.
Yeah, despite many years of advocating, they have unfortunately not said yes yet.
To also to be clear, because listen, I would love so much to be a part of the Max Fun Network. We have not asked them, and if we were to, they would be right to say no. It's all I just there is no bridge to burn, and I understand that somewhere in my mind, but I'm so worried about burning the bridge, the non-existent bridge anyway, you know?
Now, I'm confused by the statement simply because, in my mind, what you're doing is saying, hey, no, don't get it twisted. We have not asked. Which, in my mind, I'm thinking, I mean, they're not going to mind us pretending we've asked. And if anything, maybe they would be flattered that we're
That's fair.
pretending that we would ask, but also don't have the nerve to ask because obviously.
I think the issue was the implication of like, yeah, they just won't let us in, you know. What the hell? Like saying that to a listener base, you know, however small ours is. And of course, I don't think anyone thought we were being serious, but you get the I think you understand more from that angle where I was coming from.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not being jerks for turning us down. A, because they haven't actually turned us down, and B, because if they were to turn us down, it would be justified.
It would make so much sense, which is
Yeah.
why we haven't asked them. Anyway,
Yeah.
I said, give Tim prompts for episode ideas. And ChatGPT said, sure, here are 10 episode prompts for the Ka-Chat podcast. And I guess we'll try to, like, I don't know, expand on them a little bit, answer the sort of implicit questions here, or like say if we think they're good or bad ideas. That sound about right?
Sure, sure. And then the
Okay.
next 10 episodes will be us covering that.
Okay, so next up we got the top 10 most ridiculous fan theories about the Cars universe. And this one's troublesome, John, because all of them are ours.
Okay, let's go.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, if we were to frame an episode as the top 10 most ridiculous fan theories, like, we have no ground to stand on, is what I am saying, to call other fan theories ridiculous.
I mean, we do have ground to stand on if the top 5 are all ours.
That's true. And I mean, we've said some pretty messed up stuff about vampires and Morlocks and
Mm-hmm.
uh, telekinesis and time travel and the human race being subjugated, etc. So we could probably fill those.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I've been reminded of one of the things. So he was talking about our wheels or tires, are they feet or are they shoes? And then he came to the conclusion, and it feels really familiar. I don't know if we said this or not, but if we didn't, we should have. At some point, he did say, "Does that make them like?" Uh, I don't remember if he said hooves or like fingernails, but
mm,
basically that. Our
I do like
tires,
that a lot.
fingernails.
I don't think we have said that. I like hooves a lot, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Huh. Okay, so that's number 4. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
on there. Uh, I am very excited for the episode after this one because it's finally going to happen, John. ChatGPT has suggested interview with the voice of Lightning McQueen, Owen Wilson.
All right, so you heard it here first. We're gonna get Owen Wilson on this podcast somehow.
Yeah, so I guess if we can't do it, we'll just end the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Because it has to be
There's
now.
nothing else to do.
The third one genuinely feels like one of those moments where AI generates something and you're like, you may know too much. Because it seems like something we could do, which is Cars 2 really that bad? A debate between John and Lucas, which is a debate we've had
Mm-hmm. On the podcast.
on the podcast, you know? And one of those like contrarian talking points I like to bring up is that, no, Cars 2 is better than Cars 3. So I don't know, that one's pretty good.
All right, all right, all right.
After that, it's a deep dive exploring the hidden references and Easter eggs in the Cars movie. That's the whole podcast. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
after that is ranking the best and worst characters in the Cars franchise. I think we started a mini series that was kind of that and have never done a follow up.
We have done
Carber ratings.
specifically the 10 hottest, which
That's
I
true.
think
We did
bothered you
do
to
that.
no end.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy doing that. So moving on, Cars versus
Despite my
Planes.
hilarious pun of it had to be both literal uh and the gross meaning.
Yeah. Cars versus Planes. Which Pixar transportation movie reigns supreme? It's Cars. That would be a very short episode.
Well, let's do that episode right now.
Okay, yeah, go
So
ahead. You want
Lucas,
to yeah.
which which uh which transportation based movie is superior? Is it the plane series or is it the car series?
Oh, it's Cars pretty easily and soundly.
Agreed.
Okay.
Flow like a Cadillac.
And Sting like a Beamer. Next up, we got the Cars movies reimagined as live action films, a comedy sketch.
Well, I do take issue with this one.
Yeah? It doesn't feel
Do you
like an
want to take a
episode of a
stab?
podcast to me.
Yeah, that's very much not a uh uh an auditory medium, seeing as how it is
Yeah.
a live action.
Not only that, and like not all podcasts are like an hour long, but generally, like, I don't know, over half an hour is the sort of podcast medium. And I don't think that sustains itself for that long.
Mm-mm.
Like us talking about what it would be like, maybe. But a sketch? I don't know, man. Those are pretty
Well,
famously short.
yeah, I think by definition it's supposed to be, but we could do a really bad version of what a sketch is.
I mean, we could. See, in my head, what this one ends up being, the joke of this one is it cuts to a car with a mouth and it's screaming. It's screaming and it doesn't stop, and it cuts to more of them and they're screaming. And
Yeah,
that's the sketch.
the whole sketch and nothing but the sketch, but I love it.
Maybe a human being walks by in the background to show that humans are used to this and they hate it.
Yeah. Very
Uh,
good, very good.
the rest
That's
of
the
the
sketch,
first 10,
folks.
yeah, it is. It is. So, hey, we're not Saturday Night Live. Who do you think we are? Please don't destroy. We're not. I wish we were. They're
But
pretty funny.
if you guys are hiring, please.
Sure, man. Why not?
And
Uh,
that goes to Please Don't Destroy as well, even though they are a company that is now owned by SNL.
that's true. The rest of the first 10 aren't great, so I'm going to skip to after that. I thought these are fine, but they're a little basic. So I said, give me 10 more that are sillier. And the first one is already really good,
All right.
which is if the cars could talk, a hilarious skit about what they'd say.
Okay. Okay.
Which that one really makes you think to a certain degree, I feel.
The problem is, I don't know if this is because we were just talking about it or just because it's a thing that exists, but SNL has done that, and it's the Cars 4 that they have proposed. A sort of Me
That's
Too
fair.
for cars.
That's fair. I do enjoy the idea of us saying, "Hey, we got a hilarious skit about if the cars could talk," and just, I don't know, playing the audio from Cars the movie. Be like, it would go a little something like this. And it would go, "Speed, I am speed," because that's the first line.
Mm-hmm. And then we just play the audio for the entire franchise.
Yeah. Another one that unfortunately requires us to just play the audio of the Cars movies on our podcast, which I don't know if that's fair use, but it doesn't feel like it, is the Cars drinking game. Take a shot every time Lightning says "ka-chow," which I
Okay.
don't even feel like is that many.
See, here's the problem though. It's going to be a whole lot because I'll be drinking both of our shots.
That's true. I don't drink. I could take, I don't know, a shot
Fresca.
of. Yeah, I famously don't like the drink Fresca, so I could say that.
Well, here's the problem with that premise is that drinking games are excuses to drink. It's not
Yeah.
actually a punishment when you do it, but for you to drink
No,
Fresca is just kind of a punishment.
yeah, that's the issue
No
every
offense,
time.
Fresca.
No, for sure. That's the issue I run into as a person who doesn't drink every time people very kindly, I might add, try to include me in like a drinking game. Is the solution is, well, I don't know, something very punitive, I guess. Which like I remember once we played like I can't remember the name of it. It might have been Drunk Driving, which is an insensitive name. But it
I
was
don't know if I've
playing
ever heard of
Mario
it
Kart.
before.
You play Mario Kart, but before you finish
Oh, you have
either
to
a lap,
finish before you finish.
Yeah, yeah, basically. Uh, and they were like, "Well, I guess Lucas, you will have to drink 2 full bottles of water instead of a single beer."
All
Which,
right, but here's the reason that's fair. It's the same amount of I need to pee immediately.
sure, but it was mostly just, okay, I guess. And then I drank some water and was like, this is not that much different than just staying hydrated while playing Mario Kart. Just, the staying hydrated is much more focused on.
It's much more aggressive.
Yeah, yeah. But again, I always appreciate that. If you have friends in your life who don't drink, including them in some ways is always very appreciated by them.
Yeah, and the
Uh,
problem comes from the fact that the whole conceit of drinking games is pretending that it's a punishment to drink, even though that's
yeah,
the goal.
yeah,
So that's rough because when you include someone who doesn't drink, it just becomes a punishment.
yeah. But anyway, oh man, I missed this one the first time. I actually really like this one. It's Lightning McQueen's therapy session. What's really eating him?
Probably water.
Yeah, I mean, Rust it was my
Yep.
thing, but not because he uses Rusty's medicated bumper ointment.
Yep.
And so then it's the therapy session, but it turns into no, it's an ad for Rusty's, is I guess what we would do.
¿Por qué no los dos?
John, yeah, this one's going to be, the next one's hard to beat, and that's rough.
Mm-hmm.
But it is Mater's Guide to Redneck Culture, a deep dive into his worldview.
Well, the beauty of Mater
Yeah,
is that he doesn't have one.
yeah.
He just lives, laughs, and loves, but he would never put up a sign that says live, laugh, love. That's
I
too
think
much
Mater's
of
the
a
ultimate,
personality.
yeah, he's the ultimate centrist, you
Mm-hmm.
know? He doesn't
And I
take
don't even mean
any
that
stances.
politically.
No, yeah, for sure. But also politically, but
I don't know. I feel like politically he'd be like hardcore liberal, but would never say it.
See, I feel like most people who I have met who are deeply into the idea that they are like very redneck, very country, very whatever, who are extremely liberal, actually really love telling people that, which is fine. But
Yeah,
like,
but
I
Mater
mean,
can't say it because he's actually from money.
that's true. Also, Mater can't say it because he's a character in a Disney movie, and there would be protests about the talking tow truck saying that we should have universal health care or something because that's the world we live in.
No, we've gotten to a point in the world that we live in which the controversial opinion to have is that like being gay is a thing and being trans is a thing, and those people, here's the thing, they're people.
So maybe what they would do is they would include Mater acknowledging a gay couple existing, but do it in a way that's very easy to edit out for the Chinese markets.
I didn't know if you were going to be willing to say it, but you did. Yes. Uh,
Listen,
I
man, that's
apologize
what
to
they,
any
not
of
just
our
the Chinese
progressive
markets.
Chinese fans, but I'm sure you're not listening, so hey.
And it's not just the Chinese markets, it's some Middle East markets and whatnot, but that's what they do now. That's what
Yep.
Disney does now, which is pretty not cool.
Well, here's a
Here's the
weird
thing.
like here's the thing that I'm willing to give to them is that
Sure.
before that their whole thing was just not including it at all,
Mm. I mean, yeah, but
which is it's worse.
yeah. And like, it is objectively better that they included it all. Sure. But the cynic in me said that they looked at some polling numbers and thought, we'll get some some media drum and some liberals will come in and see it if we throw in our 30-second first openly gay characters, you know?
Sure, but the people who are going to be loudest and most annoying to deal with respect to the American audience, are gonna be the conservatives who think that they are uh, contracting with the devil because gay people exist.
That's fair. Yeah.
I
Anyway, the
I'm
next.
not willing to call it brave, but I do
Yeah,
think that the most uh, vocal group that's going to say anything about it isn't going to be the positive group.
that's fair.
Man, Lucas, the way you just said that and sighed, like I could feel just years of frustration with people and things that you have to just accept people aren't going to grow out of.
Yeah. Next one is the Cars World Records. Which car holds the most ridiculous record?
Oh,
And
it's
this one's
Guido.
challenging for me. Yeah. Well,
Why is that?
yeah.
It's Guido.
I mean, because I was going to go to our other scapegoat and said, I don't know, Mater for some ridiculous nonsense, but nobody can remember Mater's nonsense, except for the person who proves the story is true.
Mm-hmm. And
So probably Guido balancing tires or something.
well, you could say that, but also, didn't he like actually set the world record for fastest tire change?
That's true. I'm not sure how ridiculous that record is, though. That one's just kind of cool, especially in the world of cars.
The ridiculousness comes from the fact that he did it by himself. It's the fastest, and he did it his first time.
That's true, and probably the gap in how much time it took him versus the second place is also ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so yeah, I'll give it to Guido.
Like everyone's cheering on Lightning for winning that race that he didn't win, but he for morally winning the race, and
Yes,
even though Chick Hicks won,
that's
but
Lightning's
like
favorite way to win races.
yeah, morally, uh, but boy howdy, like Chick Hicks wins, and there's all that fanfare, and by fanfare I mean like everyone hates him and no one reacts positively, but like people don't immediately go up to the newcomer who's like, "Oh, that was a world record and we caught it on tape, and how on earth did you do it that fast?" To poor Guido, who just did a superhuman feat in front of the world.
He made four men's mustaches fall off. It was so cool.
Mm-hmm. Could you imagine if that happened in real life, Lucas? If we somehow, like, the news just tomorrow is during a sporting event, this guy did some task that's like, I guess, the equivalent. Okay, so March Madness is going on. Uh, is there a tire replacement boy on the side?
Of March Madness?
Yeah. Do the big tall men have their shoes replaced by a boy who does it?
Shoe
Is there a boy
boy!
for that?
Shoe
There's
boy,
always a
I
boy for
require
that.
new sneakers to squeak all over the floor.
I need new Air Jordans.
Mine are all squeaked out.
Did you hear how much I squeaked out there? I've squeaked them all to death.
Yeah, that's basically what March Madness is. I could see there being some sort of pit crew required for like Cars March Madness. I'll give you that.
Okay, now imagine that exists, and then
Yeah.
imagine that someone does that job so well that four men's mustaches fall off of their face. I would watch it 100 times.
I mean, I would change my career to try to like a scientist to try to figure out what happened. It would engross me
Mm-hmm.
so much. Like I would
Knowing
change
that
the
someone
trajectory
can
of my life.
do something so amazing that someone's mustache just falls off. That's amazing.
And I'd be the world's leading carsologist because I would say, no, 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 this is just like Guido. You don't understand.
No, you don't get it. This is why I quit. This is why my life is what it is right now.
I'd be arrested trying to break into whatever college facility there was who employs the shoe boy and saying, "Is he small in Italian? You must tell me." They
Man,
probably would be,
yeah,
is the
yeah.
issue.
Man, that's just when we figure out how to do super soldiers, first thing we're gonna do, make people's mustaches fall off.
Oh man, they're not even gonna know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
And
does
that's how the
Mater?
world's gonna know.
Yeah, does Mater actively hold the land speed record? Was that a plot point from the Salt Flats episode where Mater dies? Did he break the record?
Here's the problem. I think the answer is yes, he broke the record. But also, I don't know if they had enough evidence for him to have been recorded as doing such.
Mm.
Like for Guinness, you have to have an official there, which, I mean, I'm counting Guido's just because it was on television, but I don't
Yeah,
think
but like
Mater's was on television.
they're actively at the Salt Flats to break the land speed record. Like that is the whole purpose of them being there. So like even if it's not, I don't know, recognized by Guinness, they're the authority on the land speed record. So like who cares what Guinness says? Guinness would probably be like, "No, these are the people who would know." So we're,
I feel like everything about it says this couldn't have been official on account of so many people die.
that's true.
Like, you can't legally have that be official in any way on account of, oh yeah, this is our thing that we do that gets so many people killed.
I mean, I think that's just true about the races at the Salt Flats. I don't know that, but kind of assume that people actively die doing that.
I mean, people actively die because of NASCAR, but like, it's still
That's true.
rare.
John, are you ready
When
for a new
was
spin on the Cars movies? What if they were made by Michael Bay?
there would be a lot more lens flare.
I mean, my issue, John, my issue is that's kind of Cars too.
There's one aspect to Cars 2 that does not suggest to me Michael Bay.
Okay.
Not nearly enough gratuitous sexuality.
I mean, did you see Holly Shiftwell? Were we watching the same movie? Her name
I
is
said
Holly
gratuitous.
Shiftwell, man. Man,
I said gratuitous. The problem with Holly Shiftwell is she is a classy lady.
that's true. I guess.
Now, Celine Defair,
Okay, there we go.
you can see
Something for the
straight
boys
through
there.
those windows.
Jesus.
It's
Oh,
all hanging out.
I mean, the issue is it kind of is. I mean, they do have
But, like,
topless beaches in France, and I think they were in France. Is that the joke? That can't be the joke. They weren't on a
I think
beach.
I think that's part of the joke. Uh, but also, I think they were in Italy.
Oh, were they? Okay.
And the most gratuitous sexuality, unfortunately, is in the first one.
No, with Ramon. Yeah.
Not even
Okay. You're usually
the twins that
all
flash the
over Ramon.
headlights.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like Ramon flashes his taint, but he doesn't flash his
Sure.
taint to the screen to the audience. But those twins that are, I'm guessing, teenagers do flash their headlights directly at the audience.
That's true. Yeah. But there are lots of explosions and gadgets and whatnot, which does on the other hand suggest a lot of Michael Bay. So I'm sticking with
Mm-hmm.
my answer that it's just Cars 2. Just Cars 2, but Holly Shiftwell is even sexier. Man, I hated saying that.
Why? Are you afraid of the truth?
Yes. Uh, Speaking of the truth, John, it's time we dive into it. With number
Let's do
7
it.
here, Lightning McQueen's love life. Is he really over Sally? And this one's implying some stuff to me that I'm not quite sure where it's getting.
What? Why would he have to be over Sally?
Yeah, that's my thing. Like, I don't know why Chat GPT think they've broken up, but I don't know. It's the AI, not us.
Fair, true, but all. Hello?
Yeah, you're here. Did you touch the wire
Oh,
again?
okay. I did touch the wire again, and now I can hear myself far more clearly.
I explicitly told you not to touch the wire again.
No, you said I'm not supposed to do that. Those are different for reasons that are unimportant.
Yeah, I guess they are different. What were you even saying? Uh, oh, I said maybe it does know it's the AI, not us, and I think you were about to retort to that.
Okay, the way you said that got me real confused because I thought you were saying maybe it knows it's an AI,
Mm,
which
maybe it
it
does.
does, but it
Yeah,
doesn't conceptualize that, which is important.
it's very important.
It's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. A computer can have knowledge, it can't have wisdom yet.
Yet.
Mm-hmm.
John, why does Chat GPT think that Lightning and Sally are on the rocks?
Because she does insult him constantly.
Maybe they should be over on the rocks.
Yeah, that is
You're
not
absolutely right.
healthy. You can't just keep doing that to him. That's very rude. Like, okay, so I'm gonna say something really intensely deep and personal about my relationship with my wife. All right,
Yeah.
for a little bit, she found out that it bothered me when she called me Stinko, and then she kept calling me Stinko. So I threw a fit and told her she wasn't allowed to call me Stinko anymore, or I just wouldn't talk to her. So now she doesn't call me Stinko anymore. But
And
one of
that's
the
what marriage
nicknames
is
that
all
Lightning
about.
McQueen has
Yeah.
is Stinky, which is
Which
rude.
she does call, she calls them that as a variation on stickers.
Which is
But no, it
also
is rude.
a weird judgmental thing she does. Those stickers are for his job,
Yeah, even if we ignore the fact that sometimes we think headlights are genitals, uh, then it's still not like, I don't know. If I'm stepping out of podcast host, Lucas, it's probably a pretty innocent nickname. But like, it's still a little judgmental. You're right.
well, one of the things about it is, haha, you have a thing that's physically different about you, which
Yeah.
some people are okay with. But generally speaking, and with how quickly she adopted the nickname, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm not okay with it. You don't single out someone's physical difference that they cannot just casually have had any control over and then keep just ragging on them for it. That is incredibly rude. You can make fun of people if you want. That's still typically rude unless they're okay with it, but you got to clear that up first. But much more importantly, you can make fun of people and still be a decent human being if you're only ever making fun of them for the choices they make. You can't do it based on something that is outside of their control. And even with the choices they make, it still has to be something that is understandably like they're okay with it, or you have to accept that they're going to hate you. Which, like, I would make fun of Donald Trump for being a fucking idiot. But
Yeah.
I don't want him to ever like me. If Donald
Yeah, and
Trump likes me, it's because I've either done something wrong or it's because he noticed I'm a straight white man.
That's true. From rural Kentucky.
Yeah.
I was gonna say a thing, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because you forgot?
It doesn't matter because I forgot.
Okay.
I would say no. He's to answer the question from the podcast title that it gave us. He's not really over Sally because they're in a common law marriage,
How many
or
years
maybe
has
a
it
real
been?
marriage. I don't know. It's been a while. I'd say there may be common law by now. It's been 10 in between cars 1 and 3.
All right. Now, common law is based, I think, on the state. And from what I've seen, it can be as long as like 25 years. So, where is Radiator Springs?
Arizona, I think, which does not recognize common law marriage in any form. Is it in California, maybe? Let's check that just to be sure. There's also no common law marriage in the state of California. So they are not common law married. But maybe they're uncommon law married.
Maybe.
Uh, traditionally married, I suppose, would be the better way to put that. At the very least,
No,
they're in a
I prefer
relationship.
yours. What states have common law marriage? I think New York does for some reason.
Maybe it's just a thing that we've heard about, but it isn't like actually that much of a going concern for people anymore. I don't know. I just don't know, John.
Okay, states that still have fun fact of the day: states that still have common law marriages are Colorado, Iowa, Kansas, Montana, New Hampshire, Oklahoma, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Texas, Utah, and the District of Columbia. Wait a minute, that's not a
Hmm?
state.
Yet. It should be. In my
Sorry,
head, at least.
Griffin.
Yeah, it sucks. Anyway, next one, John, is challenging because it's going to
Mm-hmm.
prompt us to actually come up with some content for it, which we hate coming up with content. And it is
Absolutely, it's the worst.
the best and worst pickup lines as delivered by the Cars characters.
Ka-chow.
And we're moving on because I don't want to do that one.
It's in Arizona, and Arizona does not recognize it.
Well, that's dumb, John. Let's see, the Cars Olympics, but which character reigns supreme in each event? Isn't that interesting to me? Which vehicle reigns supreme? I guess that could be.
That's just a
I don't know.
discussion on eugenics.
Yeah, which we come back to way too often. I'll say it. I'll say it.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
happens
but it's
too
a lot
often.
harder. It's a lot harder when, some vehicles in a society based on how fast can you go, some vehicles are just better because they go faster.
I mean, that's true. It's true, John.
I mean, there's the whole ageism too, so there's that of like the whole plot of 3 is that old cars ain't got nothing on the new cars because they're too old.
That is what 3 is about, unfortunately.
All right, so pickup
Yeah.
lines. Let's go back to it.
Yeah, okay.
Who do we gonna go?
I'd
Uh,
love to see your squishy bit. No.
Celine DeFairs could just be wee wee.
Girl, how squishy is your bit? No. Show me
You've
your
seen the
bits. I bet they're
lightning.
squishy.
You ready for the thunder? Which I'm guessing is a fart.
I'm really stuck on the idea of squishy bits, which I think you've probably realized.
Yeah. Hey, girl, would you like me to squish your bits?
Okay, go. That one's pretty good, actually. Uh, oh god. Uh, number 10. The Cars movie. The Cars movie, but with cats. A ridiculous mashup that nobody asked for.
Now,
And
are
this
we
one's
talking
interesting.
like Mephistopheles? Or are we talking like just cats?
Cats is capitalized, but so are a lot of other things in this. But I think we should assume it's Cats, the musical.
Okay. So
And
everything's the same except the cars are cats or the reverse,
I did after I saw
like
this, I
Jellicle
remembered.
cars.
Yes, thank you, John. Uh, I did remember that I once did a Q&A instead of an episode on Twitter, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and friend of the show, Rob, asked, what's up with cats in the Cars verse? And I did write a full cast list of if Radiator Springs Community Theater did a production of Cats. And it's not interesting if you don't know the characters from Cats.
So
So I don't know
everyone who
why I brought
listens
it
to this
up.
podcast would absolutely love it.
I mean, I've never seen Cats. I just
Know
assigned
everything about it.
I just assigned the weird names to ones who I thought went with them.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Importantly, Mater is the magical Mr. Mistopheles. Uh, but other than that, I don't think you need to go into it. Rob, it's important to note that
the
Rob did
magical
disagree
mater
heavily.
Mistopheles.
Ah, Rob did
All right.
disagree and think Mater should be McCavity, who is also vaguely
Oh,
mystical.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
that's all of them, man.
All
I,
right.
we were. I did ask them to write a joke about Lightning McQueen. Would you like to hear it?
Ka-chow.
Why did Lightning McQueen join a gym?
So you go fast.
Pretty much, it says because he wanted to get buff and become the fastest car in the race, which is objectively not a joke. John seemed to like it though. It's on that anti-joke stuff.
That is the most like 5-year-old answer ever. Like,
I
if
just
you told me that a very intelligent elementary school like uh kindergarten or first grader wrote a joke and that was the joke, I would 100% believe you, because that is like dead on, as much not a joke as kids get.
all I'm gonna say is that got a pretty good response from you, but the Department of Agriculture joke from Cards Against Humanity that has been a sticking point in our friendship for, I don't know, going on 6 years now, did not.
It's because this one was written by an AI, which to me seems like almost like a child, and it's so beautiful because of that. Whereas yours was this thing that probably already exists, or if not, should.
Yes, the Department of Agriculture does exist. It
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so
It
the joke,
it doesn't matter.
we've explained it on the podcast before, I'm confident. But with Cards Against Humanity, when I become president, I will establish the Department of, and there are two things I go for typically. Either an answer that is just like accurate, or an answer that is very Cards Against Humanity of like, oh, that's the most ridiculous or awful thing you could have said. And the problem is that Lucas's already existed. He
That's
said the
the
Department of
joke.
Agriculture. So, because it already existed,
I
I couldn't possibly have established another one.
exactly. Can you imagine? You go in and you say, first order of business, this country needs a Department of Agriculture. And they're like, I'm so sorry, Mr. President. I don't know how to tell you this, but you've been beaten to the punch.
About 70 years ago, we thought that would be valuable.
I think that's an excellent answer because it's very stupid. And that's the entire point of Cards Against Humanity is to find the stupidest answer that is funny.
See, I've always thought of it as you have to find the most, like, edgelord middle school answer possible, like the most shock value possible, or just a weirdly genuine answer.
That's fair. But see, that's why I I often go for the anti joke or the very stupid joke in hopes that it stands out in the crowd of other edge lord jokes in a game of
Mm-hmm.
Cards Against Humanity. You know,
See, the problem is if you're ever playing with me, you're playing with whoever I am also playing with. And I don't know if you know this, but I don't hang out with anyone who's edgier than me. And in case the audience
it's a
thinks that
rule John has.
if, in case the audience thinks that I'm claiming to be edgy in the least, I'm not. I'm not claiming that, and I'm not edgy. I just hang out with some vanilla folks. Not one, but
Anyway,
two
I
of my
should have won that
closest
round.
friends don't drink at all. And that's straight laced. And then every other person I drink with, they tend to be people who, I don't know, have the life goal of teaching or healing. So, like, just genuine good people who are very straight laced. And I'm edgy because. Lucas, give me a reason I'm edgy.
Oh, I was worried that was the case. Long hair is sort of edgy, and you got that going on right now. You're trying to you're acting. That's
I
sort of
own
edgy.
a
Uh,
firearm.
there you go. All right. Do you own a motorcycle? Am I making that up?
I do. Not a
Hey,
functional
that's
one.
edgy. Yeah. Hey, he works on a motorcycle in his garage. Put on a leather jacket. He's a greaser, you know?
I do have a leather jacket, but
There
it's
you
also
go.
the same reason I have the firearms is that my family has given them to me. Now
That's
the
fair.
motorcycle I did buy for myself.
There you go. Now that's edgy. All right. I'm edgy because my favorite Pokemon is Golurk, and he's not very many people's favorite Pokemon. Uh, so there,
I like the Pokemon Bisharp, and he's
because it's similar.
edgy,
Quite
literally.
literally. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say. Have you seen his evolution?
I have, but not any time recently.
That's pretty fun. His name's King Gambit, which is,
Oh,
kind of a
I
fun
was
chess name.
mistaken. Wait a minute. Okay, never mind. Okay, so yeah, I have seen this one. I've seen King Gambit. I have not seen Bisharp X,
What?
whatever that
Where's
is.
Bisharp? Bisharp X. No, someone made this up. I'm looking at it. This is not a real thing.
That's a real Digimon ass Pokemon.
Which, to be fair, there are plenty of nowadays, but
And
that one
to be
specifically
more
is not real.
fair, Bisharp, very good one for that.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Do you want to talk about how cars are probably evolved AIs or something? Or do we just want this to be the episode? Is us desperately trying to have Chat GPT giving us an episode and it not really working?
I think it's worked out so far. It's a
No,
very
yeah.
casual approach to it. Uh, I
No,
think
not.
I think the connection is clear. It's we get our specific AI to a point where it's more general, and then we already incorporate AI into cars. If we get more general AI or any general AI and put it in a car, eventually it could become straight up cars, especially seeing as how we've already put faces on cars before.
That's true. We have done that.
And we've done an
Yeah.
episode about it.
Yeah. I forgot about that episode. That was an episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. Yeah. That's. Oh, wait. Vamp, John. I had an idea.
You know, Bisharp could eventually become a car Pokemon because of multiple reasons, not the least of which being type, you know. You still got to have something involved in that. And then also, like, there's kind of a carapace look that it's a metal-ish carapace. And if you give wheels to this thing and take off the swords, you get a car.
Stop
I
vamping.
don't know why. Okay.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Ka-Chat. We hope you enjoyed this hilarious journey through the world of Pixar's Cars movies with John Bishop and Lucas Southworth. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast to catch all of our upcoming episodes and never miss a laugh. If you have any ideas or suggestions for future topics, be sure to drop us a line on social media or email us at, wow, our correct email address, thekachat@gmail.com. Until next time, keep your engines running and your funny bones tickled.
And sting like a beamer. Ka-chow.
That's exactly what I wanted you to do. Good job, John.